ever since the war in Ukraine started, I've thought about like doing videos like this for a while, but like I had this very strong urge to need to talk to refugees. So this video more or less goes out to all refugees that are currently running from something. I've never been a refugee, so I can't even begin to imagine what you're going through. Like this, every time I do, like I cry. Like it's the things that are going on in the world, like the atrocities that humans are, like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I'm sure you've seen a lot of horrible things. You've seen death, you've seen blood, you've seen murder, you've seen bombs, you've seen all kinds of atrocities. And I can't relate to what you've seen, but I have had PTSD more than once in my life. And what I've learned from that. So I think the worst was when I lived with someone who was threatening to kill me. So I spent a long time sort of thinking either I'm going to die or he's going to die or we're both going to die. And I didn't actually get out of the situation because it wasn't very smart. I thought he needed somewhere to stay and I thought I could handle it. But I then had very, very severe PTSD. So I couldn't go out of the house. I was scared of doing everything. Everything made me nervous. And like human interactions were really weird to me. I felt very disconnected to life. I remember the worst struggle, like the thing that comes to mind is how hard it was for me to go shopping. I used to go in and then I'd sort of panic and buy half the things that I need and then ran back out again and needed to get home to get to my safe room. And I thought like this was going on for quite a while, and it wasn't until I started simply practicing. So I expected nothing from myself. I didn't go, normally I go out and I do this and I cleared everything, and then I just slowly retrained myself to like realign with the way that I lived before. It took me quite a while, like a few months, but eventually it got better. And then I was faced with another situation where I then had PTSD again. So I was living with someone who unfortunately passed away, and unfortunately I didn't realize for a few days. I thought he left. And then I found his dead body in his bed, and which is obviously traumatizing as well. The guy died of natural causes. It was perfect peacetime, like there wasn't really much threat to me. But I again had this PTSD response, so I was scared of everything. I was a bit nervous. I was a bit like, I don't know, like shaky, and because I recognized it and I knew it was PTSD, I just went like, okay, I'm just gonna go out and pretend like nothing happened and just move on and get on with life slowly again. And it worked a lot quicker. But the one thing that I don't want to call it a mistake. So when I was moving on with my life, every now and then this image of the dead body popped up in my mind. And so I did what probably most people would do, is I just tried to think of something else, tried to distract myself from the image. And this was a big mistake for me, because if my brain is already feeding me this image, it means that I need to deal with it. And by me then saying like, oh no, it's ugly, I don't want to look at it, I am more or less not listening to my brain, not acknowledging that this is something I need to deal with right now. And it wasn't until the image popped up and I had to deal with it, I dealt with it, I looked at it, and as soon as I looked at it, I took my sweet time to look at it, which was like maximum 10, 15, 20 seconds or something like that, versus the 1-2 seconds that of like flash that I had before. And then the more I looked at it, the more normalized it became, the more the less scary it became. It was just a normal part of life. This person died, he was in the bed, he wasn't moving, he's not going to do anything, and it's not really scary. And as soon as I dealt with this picture, I felt so much better. And this was the huge lesson that I learned from dealing with death, like literally dealing with death. So I know that you've probably faced death, you've probably faced more than enough death, and you've probably faced a lot of gruesome sights, and you can probably understand what I'm talking to. And all I'm trying to say is that that image is going to be there all the time, forever and always. It's not until you can also talk to someone about it, because as soon as you talk about it, you can describe what you saw to someone, and then because then you take your time to look at it, and then it becomes less scary. So some people I'm the type of person that when something happens to me, I can't talk about it. I'm working on it. I'm slowly working on it. But normally, until I'm better, I don't tell you. Other people, something happens to them, and they tell everybody they know, because they need to get it out of their system. And as soon as they do that, they feel better. So that's the way they do it. But keeping it in your mind and keeping it a secret and keeping it hidden, because it's scary and because it's dramatic and because it's horrible, that's going to damage you. That's going to haunt you. It's never going to go away. And no matter how much alcohol, no matter how many drugs, it's always going to be there. Just a comment about if you had to move to a new place. First of all, I'm very sorry for the idiots that treat you not the way you should. They don't embrace you with the open arms you deserve, fleeing from war. They are too engulfed in their own ideas, their own ideology, their own world, to see you as the human being that you actually are. There are people that will, and all you need to remember is when people are being racist or homophobic, or they say something to you that is, it's got nothing to do with you. As soon as they say something racist to you, they don't know you. They don't know anything about you. Their assertions are coming solely from them. And in actual fact, their aggression is actually fear. So they're yelling at you because they're afraid that they are not better than you. And that's all. And as soon as you see it as that, not as a threat to you personally, but them, it's like a little chihuahua barking at a really big dog. So all they're showing is their inferiority, their feelings of inferiority, and hiding them. They need to scream at you. So they're not that scary. They're assholes, but they're not scary. So please don't take anything that they say personally. It's got nothing to do with you. And if you're in a country where you need to learn the new language, I went to Spain without speaking any Spanish, and all I did, so it's a different situation because I wanted to learn Spanish. I was in Spain voluntarily, and it was fun for me, so it wasn't a job, it wasn't something that I had to do. I never had any books, I've never had any teachers. My Spanish is not that good, but I can sort of get by. So I'm not the perfect Spanish speaker at all, but I just want to tell you about how I learned it, because all I did was go out, and again, so you don't know this language, there's nothing expected of you. You don't have to speak this language, you can't speak this language. So you just go out and sit with people that are speaking the language, and you just listen to them. And you don't understand anything in the beginning, but after Like about 2 weeks, I really questioned myself and thought, I don't know if this is working because I'm not speaking anything. I don't really understand that much. And then by the 3rd week, I shinned myself with the skateboard, and then I cursed in Spanish, and and I realized like, oh no, it's actually working. And now I'm sort of sometimes having conversations with people in Spanish, and people are surprised that I speak Spanish. And because I never seemed like I was learning, but all I was doing was spending a year sitting there listening to everybody speak. And obviously, like, it worked. Within 3 months I pretty much got by. Like, I could hang out with people that speak Spanish and make myself understood. But now it's starting to come. Now I'm starting to speak, so it took me a while before I started to speak. So if you go out to whichever country you are and just try and talk to people, it doesn't matter, like, nobody's expecting you to speak the language. You just need time, and then you'll get into it slowly, and it's fun. It's good training for your brain, and sometimes you don't even need that much of the language to be able to connect with the people there. So it was important in Spain to learn a little bit of Spanish, just so that when I greet people, they know that I'm trying. And then usually they spoke to me in English anyway. I'm not too sure if this is of any value, but I know this is going to work for everybody, because there's no better way to learn a language than total immersion. So the more you confront yourself with a new language, the more you learn. Like watching TV, listening to the radio, listening to music. I know this is not of much value to you now, but I just really wanted to say that, like, I'm really sorry for, the tragedy that you've been through, and, the sad situations, the loss, leaving everything you knew behind. But this is the way that I see life. Life is about the falls. And this wasn't a fall by your own doing, but you fighting your way back into life after this fall is going to be so much more valuable for you in your life, because this is what life is about. It's about strength, it's about resilience, it's about you finding peace in your own life no matter what happens. And as soon as you face the things that you've seen, as soon as you deal with what you had to deal with, and the most important thing, like, I know what's been done to you was not fair, and I know that you didn't deserve this. It's got nothing to do with you, and whoever did it to you does not deserve your forgiveness at all. However, you deserve to forgive in your heart, because, like, this is not religious or whatever, but like, if I was still angry at my ex-husband, I could not feel this peace, because there would always be this little bit of me that would go back to that situation and mourn the situation, and it'll be forever stuck in my mind. The nicest and kindest thing that I could ever do to myself is look at what had been done, look at what happened, look at the person that did it, and honestly look at, without excuses, rationalizing, look at what they did and accept it for however gruesome it is. Like, for me in my marriage, it was only like, he wanted all the money, and like, I just went like, okay, take the money. Like, I don't even mind, like, if that's all you want, take that, leave me alone. So it wasn't a very big deal, because money doesn't matter anyway. But I could have said, like, it wasn't fair, it wasn't just, I did this, blah 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 blah. Like, I had plenty of reasons to be angry at him for doing that, but as soon as I looked at him, I'm like, yeah, well, I don't actually care about the money. And if he really needed the money, then okay, I accept that that was very important to him. And I forgive him for being a money hungry, man, like it doesn't make that much difference. And as soon as I could forgive him for what he's doing, I understood, like, okay, if that's his sense of winning, he needed to win. So I forgive him for that, more or less, not because he deserves it, but because it allowed me to end this chapter. Now when I speak about him, I'm not bitter. It's not even something that comes up anymore. It's not the main thing that clouds my memory of this person. And, if it's Putin, like, how can you justify what Putin is doing to so many innocent civilians, for instance? Like, how can you forgive Putin for killing children? Like, there's no way that he deserves this forgiveness. But if Putin killed your child, and you have to go like, okay, this crazy human being thought it was necessary to throw a bomb onto this school that then resulted in the death of my child. He doesn't deserve the forgiveness. But as soon as you look at the facts and you say, like, this is actually what happened. This crazy person just went out there and he killed my child. And if you can actually accept this fact to be the truth, no rationalizing, no believing, no mourning, no nothing. This is what happened. And now my child's gone. That is your way of closing the chapter. That is your way of looking at what happened and being able to end it. Your dead child doesn't want you to be sad for the rest of your life. Like, this tragedy is about not us falling into a near-death slumber because of depression. This tragedy shows us that we are mortal. We are actually lucky to be alive right now. We survived this. And we can't let this tragedy weigh us down for the rest of our lives. We need to fight and find the joy, find the freedom, find the love, find all the beauty that this world actually has. And I know this is not much, and I don't know how many people I may offend by trying to help or trying to share this or trying to somehow relate, because I can't relate. But hopefully some of the things that I said, like, somehow make sense to you. And if there's anything that you want to ask, or if there's anything I could say or do, please just comment, and I'll be back soon, and I wish you the best of luck. And it's hard now, but every week something grows, and sooner or later you'll be back to life, happy, joyful, and loving, back in love. Thank you very much for listening. Talk to you soon. One love. Thank you very much for listening. One love.